it's fun. It's the Moss Minute.
Hey everyone, I'm Nicole Moss. Welcome to this edition of the Moss HR Minute. I am the co-founder of Moss Consulting HR Services, where we help business owners solve the people and operational challenges that they face every day. Today, we are coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm joined by Preslie Deusenbery, our Phoenix HR area manager, who works directly with local business owners here in the Valley. We are also joined today by Julie Barnett, who is the founder and executive director of Lomond Legal, a Scottsdale-based employment law and HR legal services firm, bringing a fixed fee, all-inclusive model to the U.S. employers, including compliance investigations and full litigation defense. Julie has built and scaled HR and employment law businesses across both the UK and the U.S., and she's here to talk about how business owners can manage legal risk without unpredictability within your hourly billing services or last-minute panic. Yep, which is so good. So, Julie, most business owners only call a lawyer when something has already gone wrong. What's the biggest risk with that approach? And if you could give us your answer in one Moss Minute.
Wow, Moss Minute, I like that. The biggest issue is it is last minute, and therefore you don't get the picture. And trying to get the picture in order to make the assessment of what their true risk is. Because you'll have face value risk, then you'll have true risk, and then negotiation risk. So that is, it's the panic aspect, it's reactive. When someone panics, they don't always give you the full picture. So you're always having to go back and go back and go back. And that is the hardest thing, realistically, as a starting point to be moving forward with.
Perfect. Within one Moss Minute. That was perfect.
That was lovely. Yeah.
That was great. That's exactly what we're looking for. So what should employers be doing before the situation escalates?
I mean, in an ideal world, people have something in place. You know, I always say the smart people are part of the club. You know, you need to be part of something so that you have somewhere to go for that reassurance or even just a second opinion or the help and the advice. And that's obviously where we look to come in. They should be given consideration to the risks. Either if they're doing it themselves internally, they need a framework. If they're doing it externally, then they know exactly who they're going to. But most importantly, they need to trust that person because they have to be honest with the person. And that's a hard thing in itself as well. People telling you the full picture, in order to be able to represent them and reduce or damage limitation.
Yeah, we often find with our clients, it's totally natural, but
it is.
It's so personal, and we deal with people, and so it's like, it's so personal and it's so important, and oftentimes it slowly comes out, but you're like, help me help you. I can't help you unless I know everything. But it takes a lot of trust and time.
It is about the trust. It's about the personality. It's about gelling with them, because if they're going to trust you with what, you know, they know something. Sometimes they don't know that it's information that they're supposed to be telling us.
That's right.
It's not always intentional, right?
Right.
But if they've done something, they think, oh my God, I can't tell, or nobody's going to find out. We're obviously trying to make an assessment of what the risk is at face value. And we may give advice, and it would be completely different if we had the full picture. So, and that's why I think it is really important for me personally that the client knows you as a person, so that they can be honest with you and say, I've made a mistake, can you help? Or actually, I've done this, and they take it from there.
Yeah, I think, and I know Preslie has another question for you in a second, but I think on this note is that to know the risk, it's like, we've all been in HR for a long time. I'm still surprised by some of the things that come up, but yeah, there's no judgment. I think that's like such an important thing to say is, we've got stuff that comes our way all the time, and it's just another day for us. So I think that for like the business owners that might be watching this, if you have a problem that you're like, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world, this is great, we've seen it.
Or something similar.
We've seen it, because sometimes we've lived it. I mean,
that's true.
Right? Business owners ourselves,
right?
You know, we have the same frustrations, and it's turmoil sometimes. You know, everything goes up and it's down, and even when it's going good, it's never plain sailing. So, and you're right, judgment. And if they're scared to tell you information, if they don't understand you as a person,
right?
And that is, for me, I always say to my clients, look, I don't care what you've done. I don't care what you think you want to do. Just tell me because then that's our job to say, here's A, here's B, here's C. You make the call, but here's the risk associated with it. And then our job, it's their decisions. Our job is to let them do their decisions, whichever risk they choose, but with an element of damage limitation. And hopefully, once you point it out to them, no one's going to do the most stupidest things, with the best will in the world, with facts in front of them.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. In fact, yeah, we've all been there.
We've all been there.
Definitely. Well, Julie, you've built your business on a fixed fee legal model. So that includes defense when things go wrong. Why is an hourly billing such a problem for growing businesses?
Well, I chose that route because my background was in HR, and when I worked at corporate, we used to use an external provider, exact same way as what I provide now. And I felt that it wasn't good value for service. It was a call centre experience. They didn't really know the business. And when things really got to tribunals or lawsuits, then they would rock up the night before the hearing. They would go there. There was no passion. There was no care. There was no nothing. Mm-hmm. So for me, my boss at that point said, well, if you think you do a better job, you do it. So I kind of jumped in at the deep end because I felt I could do a better job. I cared more. But with the care, you've got the cost. So when I then became a business owner, and I thought, well, if I'm in HR and I'm going to go seek out this kind of experience or assistance, what am I going to pay for it? So I based it on what I thought I would pay and where I would see the value on. And it's just a different level of flexibility that we give to them in terms of either hourly rate or predictability.
Okay, love it. So what changes when an employer knows that legal support won't suddenly become unaffordable?
Well, the changes are they can pick the phone up anytime they want. It's unlimited. So they'll be proactive instead of reactive, right? They'll maybe say, right, we have to, I've not got a policy document, or, do I really need a contract? Or can you look at these standard operating procedures and where is my risk? Because they probably don't know where their risk is.
Right.
And they'll be inquisitive about that element of the proactiveness. Or they may say, how do I make things better? Now, better also comes with framework and comes with expectations. And all of that is what changes for an employer. They're not scared to pick up the phone and ask for help.
Love that. So if or when an employer inevitably gets hit with some sort of lawsuit or an EEOC claim, what is one of the first mistakes that you see them make? And if you could give us that answer in 1 Moss minute.
1 Moss minute. Well, if they know that they've done something wrong, and most people, but once you're across that line, they're going to go find the biggest name they can out there. So they want to go to the top 5 lawyers. They're going to pay through the nose. They're going to pay for the name. Now, they're not going to get the top attorney. They're going to get, the student straight out of qualification. Now,
right.
And they're not going to get that passion, the care, the depth. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously what we bring, right? And of course, they're going to get an early rate, it's a billable rate. They don't know how long it's going to go for. That's a mistake. That's panic buying.
Yeah, panic buying.
So if somebody gets hit with a lawsuit or a claim, what preparation makes the biggest difference in the outcome of that?
The preparation, well, for me, if they're on board with ourselves, we've looked at their foundations, we've looked at their documents, we know their policies, their processes, their working environment. If they've come to us and they've used us proactively, we've maybe helped them with their correspondence. So if a claim comes in, I'm very confident I can stand behind the facts, right? Because it's all in black and white, it's unequivocal. Mm-hmm. We're not saying he said, she said, which generally you get in employment law all the time. Mm-hmm. So on that basis, the facts speak for themselves, and you can stand quite firm and say, "We're good here. We're gonna defend you." And that element helps and goes a long way, and that's why I feel the flexibility and control we give is all encompassing, because small business employers, they either need to dip in and out when they need you, which is the service Moss gives them, or they have to ensure that they're not going to be scared to do something, they've got it. So we both get the same flexibility, just in different measures.
Yep, nice. That's great. That's awesome. I think that it's when we're doing the work, because we go into our clients and we do what's called an integrity check.
Yes.
And we're like, where are we starting from? Because we want to look at risk and be like, okay, this is the most expensive risk item. This could get you into some trouble. This is we can do over the next year or so. And I think that, to your point, when you have an outside firm that comes in, because we're the same way, we care a lot, and with care comes cost, and that's true. But we want all of our employers and their employees to feel like we're part of their team. Yeah. We know them. We know the ins and outs. We know the nuance of the relationships. And then you're going to get an EOC claim. You're going to get a lawsuit. That's not necessarily bad. It happens. It's part of business. That's part of employing people. And when you terminate someone, you're putting someone else in not a level position. You're just putting people. It's just a tough spot.
It's their life. You're messing with their life a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's whether deserved or not. They still have families to feed and bills to pay. And so, of course, they're going to take action. That's what anyone's going to do. But as an employer, if we've looked or if you've looked or you've helped us write policy, then we can confidently tell our clients, like, well, we're going to be okay here, or here's where we're not okay, and this is the holes that we need to be proactive on as we get through this, which is all very normal. People go through this all the time. Awesome.
Yeah. So I know we mentioned in the beginning that you've built and scaled these legal and HR businesses across multiple countries. What's been the hardest part of bringing that to the U.S.?
The hardest part in the US for me personally is I don't know anyone. So my business in the UK started 20 years ago, and I kind of started the business because I worked at corporate level. There was a couple of directors who were going off into different businesses who asked me to then do that employment element of it that I had started when I was working internally. So I started a business with clients, right? I came here to America and I started with 0 clients, 0 connections, 0 introductions, and people just don't know me. So for me, I think I've seriously underestimated that element of it, because I think the value that Lomond Legal can give clients is particularly for American model. It's a very new concept here. It's not new in the UK. There's major providers that have got 60% of the market, for example. Here, I think it's a little golden nugget, but it is getting the name of the business out there and what it is we do to organisations. The servicing side, it's the same. It's the same in the UK, it's the same in the US, it's the same in Europe. There's different nuances, certainly, but I feel that what I can bring here is the elements of the UK are coming to the US. So I've tried and tested it. The higher standards that are coming in, I've been there and I've lived that. But for me personally, it's getting the name out there.
It's hard. It's really hard. It takes a lot of time. You need clients. They'll refer you, but that takes a year. Well, you built it. It just takes a long time. It's not a simple thing. What convinced you that the U.S. needed this approach now?
For me, it was I've always loved America. So I'm drawn to America just naturally. And obviously I have a sister here and she's been here longer than she ever lived in the UK. But I think in America, the size of the market and the size of the employers, it's just, they deserve better. I think employers deserve better. And I was always, whenever the opportunity arose, and obviously for me, given my qualifications that don't exist in the US but do because they're not transferable, then the state of Arizona in particular, they're very forward with the Bar Association, and they allowed me to come in. So once I knew that opportunity existed for me to come in and have effectively a babysitter, a compliance attorney that would make sure that, I subscribe to all the rules and regulations here and the ethics the same way in the UK, then I just really I thought, that's it, I'm done, I'm gone. This is a place I want to be. They don't have the model in America. They need the model in America. So I'm taking it, and then that's it.
I love it. I think that what you said, employers need better. And, I think that something that we tell our clients, and I'm sure you can identify with this too, is that we think like owners because we are owners. And there's a pit in your stomach that you wake up with every morning. You've got to pay payroll, your insurance, all the things that could go wrong. And you can hire the best HR professional in the world and they can be excellent, but they're still going to be in the mindset of an employee thinking of when is PTO for Christmas time? And that's fine. That's normal. We need that. But I think that when we can go and talk to our business owner clients and say, hey, I was up last night thinking about payroll too. Like, I understand. It's just building that trust and that rapport that you were talking about earlier. It just helps with the honesty that people can give you. Everyone that works on our team is very entrepreneurial. They're very self-driven. And it's just, I think our clients feel incredibly protected by that, understood, accepted. And I think that's so important. And I think employers it needs to be better. It needs to be better.
We deserve better. Employers deserve better. There's no doubt about it. We deserve the protection, and we deserve to have people to go to that we can collaborate with and help us all build. Because we're all good at our own little nonsense of what it is we do.
Yeah.
My husband says, you're a terrible business owner. And he's not wrong, and that's the element where I need help with, and I try and go and get help with, because I'm good at what I do. And I very much see all my clients as my people. You know, all my clients, especially obviously in the UK, we have a high number of clients over there. I call it, we need to do this, we need to do this. And it's just a force of habit, because I take it very personal.
Yeah.
You know, if they've got issues, they're my issues.
I like that the we approach.
Yeah, and their issues are your issues. I mean, we take Steve, I learned this, my husband and business partner, Steve, worked for an incredible organization for a long time, very sales and client focused. And it's, you make their problem your problem.
That's it.
And then you're on the same team, there's alignment, and you know, it's a beautiful thing when it works and you've solved the pricing model from the attorney, because attorneys can be incredibly expensive. So you've kind of...
They are. I mean, the Bar Association themselves, they're trying to change it. They recognise, you know, it's not, it's a very traditional model. It's not going forward. You know, your billing still incurs, you're paying an element of the lighting, the printing, and that's just not where we are anymore, you know. But nobody's there. Everybody has evolved. So I do think that in terms of the pricing, yes, it's changed. But at the end of the day, no matter what model you're offering people, they want value. They want trust, right?
They want you to care.
They want you to care. Yeah. And I think, you know, collectively we offer that to clients. I want my clients to be able, they're not tied in. They do pay a monthly retainer, but they're not tied into a 12-month contract. They can if they so choose, and there's attractions for that. But I want them to turn around every month and say, I'm paying X, and oh my God, that is so worth it.
Yeah.
They want to stay with us. And that's, to me, they're the right clients to have. Because if they want to be there, they're going to tell you all the problems and you can help them.
Yeah, proactively. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to do a shameless plug for the two of us really quick.
Okay.
For all the two of us being Moss and you, is we have had the opportunity to work together with a client out of California, which is a tricky state. And he gave me some feedback the other day.
Oh.
It was good. He had talked to a male attorney who tossed him off to a big name legal group. He's like, I was talking to the guy. He's like, I ended up working with it was like a junior or something, and which is pretty typical when you go to those big firms. And he said, I really like working with you. And Julie goes, he's like, maybe it's like a thing about working with women, but y'all really care about me. And I was like, I can honestly say, like, I know Julie cares. I care. And it was so good to hear him say that, because he's a small client, and he was getting tossed around of like, oh, little guy can handle this. And he's got two business owners working directly with him to give him advice. And you and I, he's getting some really good service. And so we're going to get him on this podcast.
Well, he's a perfect example of it, because I put myself in his shoes. You know, he's a hard worker. He's out grafting. We know what it's like as business owners to, you know, put blood, sweat and tears into it. And then someone comes along, and that particular occasion, I would call it opportunistic, right? You know, sometimes it's not. Sometimes somebody's made a mistake. I'm the first person to put my hand up and say, we've made a mistake, let's be fair here. Okay. You know, it's not about trying to, you know, employers get a bad name, right? It's employers do this and HR doesn't care, you know, and that seems to be all over TikTok right now.
Oh, yeah.
We're a bit unbalanced here, aren't we?
Right.
But no, you know, I think as much as for every bad employer out there is a bad employee, unfortunately, and employers are getting a really raw deal, right? And yes, there is no need to be paying X amount per hour for an attorney, because you're paying for their ego. Let's face it, you're paying for their ego. The law is the law. You apply it, you interpret it, you look at what's right, you look at what's wrong, and you do what's right.
I love it. If you could give business owners one piece of advice to reduce their legal risk this year, what would it be in one Moss minute?
In one Moss minute, I mean, you've got to document everything. You know, everything has got to be written down. It doesn't matter how small it is. If you can point to it, especially in employment, if you can point to it, then it happened. That is half the battle. If you can paint a picture in words, no matter how messy those words are, obviously not too messy, we don't want them saying the wrong things, but no matter how messy those words are, it paints a picture. And the picture is what you're persuading a judge to look at. And if you don't want to do that, then they call Moss or they call Lomond Legal, or they call us both.
Yeah.
You know, they get someone in to do it for them.
Yeah. Awesome. And if they don't do that, what happens?
Well, if they don't do that, then every day is a day where you're just waiting on that EEOC complaint or an audit coming in or a lawsuit landing on their doorstep, and then suddenly they're in panic mode, aren't they? What do I do? And for small businesses, I mean, absolutely, one lawsuit can literally put them out of business. Their insurance isn't going to cover elements of that, or they might have a deduction that they may need to pay of. I mean, the average deduction in Arizona is $36,000. Who's got $36,000 in a small business sitting as disposable income before they even get an attorney to come and assist them. And then let's not forget, wage claims aren't covered. You know, wage claims are incredibly hard to defend. If somebody's worked, they're owed their money.
Yeah.
So your insurance isn't going to cover that. So you have to be clever, look at 26, assess your risks. You should be thinking of your HR and employment law like insurance, and insurance should be in place in one form or another.
I agree. And I think that, you know, what we were talking about earlier with employers getting a bad rap, and that there's great employees though. And I think that, you know, we're here, all three of us are here to support business owners and to make sure that the company is prepared for the claims, the lawsuits and all that, because it will happen. It's going to happen. But I think the way that our kind of philosophy is, if we take care of the people and we make the culture clear and we take care of these employees, you're always going to get that. But when you're taking care of the employees, you're taking care of the business. And I hope that reduces the legal risk when your policies are clear, your expectations are clear, and your documentation processes are clear. Then when you do have a legal situation, that it's going to go as, I don't know that it ever goes smooth, but as smooth and as quickly as possible.
Well, I like to think that if you've got the documentation or support, a club, you know, someone providing you, what you've got is credibility and defence. Because statistically, 27% are going to take an employer to tribunal, and that's rising all the time, right? You cannot avoid a lawsuit. You can't, you know, because, and especially as our employment rights evolve and change, society's changing, people's expectations are far greater than they were before COVID. I don't think they're that reasonable, but they are what they are.
Yeah.
And depending obviously on what state you are, and not everybody knows the nuances of the states, and mistakes happen. Mistakes are non-intentional. A genuine mistake is non-intentional. But statistically, I don't think even having a provider in place, you can guarantee you're never going to have a lawsuit, because inevitably they will. What we bring to them is credibility and a defence, right? Because we've looked at their foundations, we've looked at the paperwork, and we've got them a very good standing argument for them to say, actually, this is what happened, and here's how it happened, and to stand behind it. And that's the confidence that we can give to employers collectively, that we're looking after and we're mitigating, reducing, and sometimes extinguishing their risk.
Julie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I think this conversation has been exactly what business owners need to hear when it comes to limiting risk, learning about alternatives to like the general legal billing model. To learn more about Julie and Lomond Legal, visit LOMONDLEGAL.com. If you're a Phoenix area business owner needing HR support, compliance guidance, or leadership before issues turn into real legal problems, visit mossconsulting.com and book time with our team. And we will see you on the next HR Minute.
It's fast, it's fun, it's the